Nkazimulo Zulu, former EFC bantamweight champion and today EFC flyweight king, is a striker with skills surpassing the sublime. He has decimated all comers, carving a swath of destruction across the globe. On November 3rd, a new threat rises. Cape Town's Gary Joshua fights for family and will stop at nothing to claim his destiny in the cauldron of his hometown crowd. A Commonwealth judo champion, Port Elizabeth's Luthando Biko has spent a lifetime training in the sport of martial arts. This November, he reaches the crest of that journey. Across from him stands England's Ellenor, a boxer since the age of 12. He too stands on the very edge of a life's ambition. One final fight stands between them and the right to be called champion of the world. This is the countdown to EFC 75, proudly brought to you by Keith Ho Bet Exchange. It's September 26, 2018. Cape Townian Gary Joshua is 6 weeks out from the fight of his career. He will face Johannesburg's Nkazimulo Zulu, the EFC flyweight champion of the world, on November 3rd. A fight taking place in Joshua's hometown. The two have congregated at the studios of Good Hope FM for the first of their media duties leading up to the fight.
Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Good Hope FM.
Joshua is not only fighting for the belt, he is facing an athlete whose lethal presence is known across the world.
Marino, not that he didn't want to fight me. That guy got injured, but he was offered a second chance. He also refused to take it. BK Musunyane, he says he's got an injured knee. He was posting on Facebook, tumbling in the gym, playing around. And then let's go to the worst one, JP Payas. That guy, he's not a fighter. It's even on social media, he doesn't want to fight me.
I didn't run away, I invested money into myself. I went overseas, I did a camp, and he was the one that got hit by a car.
Over the last 2 years, Nkazimulo Zulu has been scheduled to fight on 6 separate occasions. 4 of those bouts were canceled, his opponents ruling themselves unable to take the fight.
You can't call yourself a champion if you don't want to defend. Look at me. You could just give me anyone. I'm ready to fight. I have to be ready.
In the fight game, myriad circumstances dictate an athlete's ability to compete. Within the high-stakes pressure of setting foot in the hexagon, one thing is certain. Nkazimulo Zulu has had to look further and further afield for a man willing to face him.
All of these guys, they say they're injured. They always come up with the same excuse. I don't blame them. I also blame myself too, because every opponent that they give me, they end up getting seriously injured, end up in a hospital. Not that it is me that I want to injure these other guys. It's just how I am. It's just how I perform.
For his coming title defense, both the EFC flyweight and bantamweight ranks were scoured for a suitable opponent. All were unwilling to face the champion. All but one man.
It's business, you know what I mean? We're gonna handle business in there. He's gonna obviously try and keep my head off. I'm gonna do the same to him, try and rip a limb off him. And
a lot of guys are scared to fight Zulu. I couldn't call myself a fighter if I'm gonna shy away from a challenge. Zulu boy fought guys that is backing off from him. I'm coming and I'm being in that fight. When I was about 4 years old, we had an incident. My mom got robbed. All the police, everything. And yeah, they didn't pitch. So they called my dad. We knew exactly who the guys was that actually robbed my mom by knife point. Took a wedding ring, my dad's week's wages. He decided to take the law into his own hands and he went after the guys. Worst case scenario, they tried to attack him. He opened up fire, shot 5 of the guys, killed 5, 2 attempted murders. That's what ripped our family apart. We had to move immediately. My dad's case ran concurrently for about 10 years. In that time, we were moving around from family to family. We didn't have a place to stay. Eventually, we settled. Literally, we just put the roof on the house. The house was raw still. And they posted an article, what happened to the Harry Joshua's case. The state had to act. And within 2 weeks, they issued a letter. My dad had to serve out his 15 years in prison. I was 14 years old at the time.
That's when I told my son, Gary, you've got to grow up fast now because you got to be the man in the house because dad is going to leave you now.
Forced to care for his family and ostracized as the son of a killer, Gary Joshua grew bitter.
I used to be a very angry kid. I didn't know really how to react and how to control my emotions and things like that. So I used to get into a lot of fights.
It was at the age of 20 that grace shone a light on the scars that had formed in Joshua's heart.
My buddy Sven Klein introduced me to jiu-jitsu. Ended up going there one day. And then I was like, what is this grappling actually about? Ended up doing a class and I got choked out by a 16-year-old kid. It was a reality check at the end of the day, and that's when I decided the bug bit and I was hooked.
Armed with an unshakable purpose, Joshua entered the world of competitive mixed martial arts. As an amateur, his rare talent brought him a record of 8 wins and a single experience that haunts him still.
My one loss was amateur. I got knocked out. It was a shocking experience for me. It was my first and only loss. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I believe I needed that loss. You start thinking you're invincible, and that's the worst thing you can do. Everyone has a button, and if you get complacent, that button can get pushed.
Since that fateful day, Joshua has held fast to the memory of what it is to be broken and has refused to be humbled again. In November of 2016, he made his debut as a professional, going undefeated.
I think my hardest fight was against Baldwin. I tore my rotator cuff probably within the first 2 minutes. I pulled ligaments in my shoulder as well, so I had to dig deep because I had like one arm. Every time I was throwing, it was hurting. While I was grappling, I was really under a lot of strain and pressure. Baldwin's a tough guy. I really tried my best to put him away. I gave everything I had.
Joshua has entered the EFC hexagon 4 times, and with a combination of championship Muay Thai skills and a love of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that has earned him the rank of brown belt, he has defeated all comers.
I pride myself now in being actually a martial artist because I know what it is to come up from the ground, from nothing to where I am. I'm a self-made man. I'm very proud of that.
Threading through Joshua's fight journey is a presence that has anchored him, both during his lost years as a boy and in the midst of every battle.
It was in grade 10. Gary just started at Muizenberg High, and then we happened to just chat. I mean, I didn't know him as an angry person until later. Gary definitely was angry. Like, knowing his history and things like that, then you sort of understand where it comes from.
Myself and Kasha, we basically together from the age of 16. High school sweetheart. I think we're together about 14 years now.
Akira Joshua is 1 year and 1 month old. She was born prematurely, fighting for survival for the first month of her life.
What you say? He really loves life. You can see that pureness. It's beautiful.
Good girl.
She's a beautiful person, eh? Has the biggest heart, but she has claws on her as well, also, as every woman does. She's a wonderful mother. She takes care of me. She takes care of our daughter. She's really just the one that makes sure everything's okay.
But when they close the door in that ring, it's warm. So do you transform when you're in there? Does something switch on?
I think it's still a bit surreal that he's actually fighting someone he's always looked up to and said was a great athlete.
Final words from you for Gary Joshua. He's right there with hundreds of thousands of people listening.
First of all, I just want to say to the fans, people from Cape Town, it's a lovely place. I'm just coming here to cut your boy into.
As for the hospital thing, I don't know. I mean, I'm always a nervous wreck when it comes to his fights.
Well, I'm here to take his head off, as you say.
Gary, final words from you.
This is what I do for a living, to provide for my family. It's gonna be a war.
I don't know, we'll just have to see, I don't know.
I can't wait. I can feel it, I can feel it.
Throughout their interview at the Good Hope FM studios and their days spent at various media obligations, Zulu and Joshua were aware of the enmity that stood between them.
I don't understand this guy. He's posting on the social media that I'm a Sunday contract. I feel so insulted. And he's telling me to come and get it. Come and get what? Like, I don't want to fight him. Like, I'm afraid of him. I fear nothing. I don't fear God because God is love, loves me. Why do I fear someone that loves me? So, come, let's fight.
When I'm in that cage, I'm an animal. That's where I let myself go. I'm there to fight. I don't see the purpose in being a tough guy and talking. That's been done already. Be yourself. I just don't see the point in being it.
Can you imagine if a lion is looking at you and you have nowhere to run? There is nowhere to hide, and this lion wants to eat you alive. What will you do? You're gonna eat your pants.
This is my opportunity at cementing my legacy. I'm embracing everything. If I must end up in the hospital, it's fine. I will snatch a limb and I will take it off.
I'm a lion. I'm a king of the flyweight. I'm a real champion. This is a real fighting. I'm coming for Gary Joshua, for real. I'm not scared to come to his city and cut him into pieces in front of his family, in front of his home crowd. I don't really care. I just came here to fight and defend what is mine, because there is no one who's gonna take it away from me while I am still breathing.
Zulu, when that cage door closes, I'm coming to take that belt from you. Keep your hands up or you might get clipped. If I get hold of that limb, I'm ripping it off. Be ready. That, man, mother.
In August of this year, EFC bantamweight champion JP Bass elected not to defend his title, necessitating an interim title shot. The space left by Bass's passing reveals two men from opposite sides of the globe.
First time I met him was in Joburg. He's friends with us in our coach.
South Africa's Luthando Biko and the UK's Ellenor have fought their way to the top of the division, on their dual journeys forging a respect and a friendship.
And he's a great guy, a good dude.
Hailing from vastly different worlds, on November 3rd they meet in the Hexagon. Their friendship put aside, the EFC bantamweight title before them.
I'm putting my heart and soul into this. Everything that's ever happened in my life has led me to this point now.
On that date, in Cape Town, South Africa, worlds collide. This is the countdown to EFC 75, proudly brought to you by Keith Hope Bet Exchange.
Michelle, Anna. Michelle with one now. Huh?
God tells me you suffer from MS. Could you tell us about your condition?
Got this when I was 20. Big shock. Over the first, basically 30 years, when I had the children, and I could drive then, which is great. Over the years with MS, gradually goes worse and worse, and then in the end, I can't walk.
Born to Michelle and Michael of Sunderland, England, Cal Ellenor is one of 2 children.
I've had a good upbringing, you know, like I've always been taught about respect.
It was quite a naughty boy.
I never wanted for anything like my mum, especially my dad, always helped us out, especially financially growing up.
But I had a shed in the back garden. He knocked the window. He quite smashed quite a few things there. I have quite a few ornaments in the garden. He knocked the heads off, noses off, bits of things like that. He's a very good baby. Heavily breastfed, 6 months, so that's why he's so strong. Very naughty, but naughty.
I do stupid things and let myself down. I went off on my own little world, just getting smashed. Just being a waster, just taking drugs, just being an idiot, just nothing. I always wanted to box. I don't know what it was. I used to love like Muhammad Ali and Tyson, and I used to like see the way they would act and the confidence and stuff like that, and that to me was massive. The biggest thing that happened to me was walking into the boxing gym. I was a shy young kid, a bit of a victim kind of thing. I was spawned instantly. I was like my first or second night there. I got absolutely leathered. Just told myself I need to go back, and the more I went back, the more I got confidence, the more I believed in myself, the more I learned about myself. That was it. That was the change.
From a drug-using youngster, Ellenor transformed into a young man with a single purpose: to learn everything he could about the proud sport of boxing. As a 13-year-old boy, he fought his first boxing match.
I remember seeing for the first time who I was fighting, and it was like physically bigger than me, stronger than me. I've never ever been that nervous in my whole entire life. I watched him warm up. He was hitting the pads, and it was just, God, I was absolutely terrified. I remember thinking in my head, what have I done this to myself for? Like, why am I about to have a fight with this lad for no reason?
Cal Ellenor climbed the British boxing ranks, entering the ring a full 26 times, on 20 of those occasions being victorious.
It was absolutely packed. It was the first time I ever met my granddad in my life. My dad came, and I just remember thinking, like, I wish there was some way now that I could tell my dad to just get us in the car and just take us home.
At 18, Ellenor transitioned to MMA. Throughout Europe, he would go undefeated as a professional before signing with the EFC organization.
And I remember just having this little mental battle with myself, thinking like, I'll be all right, I'll be all right. I remember the smells of the change room, the nerves, and as soon as I got my kit on and started warming up, I started to feel more confident, more belief, and I thought, you know, I'm all right, I'm gonna be fine.
On August 19, 2017, Ellenor entered the EFC hexagon to face Gareth Bierski. He lost by controversial decision, much of the MMA world believing he had won the fight. On March 31st of the following year, he returned, and this time revealed a man that is the product of 34 professional fights.
Came out and I flung 2 shots, boom, boom, double jab, and he just swarmed us, literally like flung the kitchen sink at us, and he was really heavy-handed. Every shot was like, boom, black flash. Just remember like battling through the first round, and then I started to switch on, and I started to use me boxing knowledge and my brain, and I really did have to turn it on. He was so heavy-handed and so fit and strong, and I switched on and I won the fight. It was a close fight there. I got best boxer of the show. Anyone can just have a fight in the street, but to actually go and put yourself in them positions, in front of everyone watching, and it's a different story. Learned how tough I actually was. From then onwards, I just knew like could actually do it as a sport. I learned it all.
I was born and raised here in PE in a township called Kwazakele. I grew up with a single mother. My father was not there for me. I've got an older brother and a younger sister, so I had to toughen up and face life like a man. I had to be strong and act as a father around my siblings. It was rough growing up. I have to stay away from the gang violence. Poverty is the main thing. To survive, most guys, they take shortcuts, go to gangsterism and stuff. To me, the way out from that was to go into sport.
In the South African township of Kwazakele, there is a small room that in 1968 was converted into a judo club. It is here that the youth of the impoverished community gather in search of something more.
My brother took me to judo. I was 6 years old. I first went there to watch him training, then I fell in love with it. And then the next day, I took my bag as well, I go with him, and ever since then I didn't stop.
Surrounded by poverty, Biko saw within the sport a chance at greatness.
I used to gym with my gray short and the jersey. I didn't have a gi on, the belt and stuff.
After completing schooling, he joined the Eastern Cape Judo Academy, winning numerous South African national titles and leaving the country of his birth for the first time.
My first trip with judo was in 2008-2009. It was Africa Championships in Mauritius. It was a big learning experience for me. I got to be in the plane for the first time.
After taking the title of Commonwealth champion, Biko turned his sights to a new sport that was hungry for the skills of a seasoned judoka. In March of 2017, he entered the EFC hexagon. Biko's years of judo proved their worth, with the man from PE often taking on opponents above his weight class. To ensure that the sport he loved continued to nurture both himself and his young son.
I had a lot of challenges going to that fight. He's a big guy, tall, long reach. It's a featherweight fight. Out of my weight class, end up the shortest bantamweight. I had to test myself, see where I'm at.
Today, Biko has traveled far from the impoverished boy that first took to the judo mat. Now, with a 4-fight win streak behind him, he stands on the cusp of both taking the EFC interim bantamweight title and ensuring a new future for himself and those that depend on him.
The moment I was told that I've got to fight for the EFC belt, I was just picturing myself with that belt on my shoulder coming back from PE. People came to the airport to fetch me. It's not normally a guy from Eastern Cape fight for the EFC title. To me, it really means a lot. My son is Luthando. He just turned 11 months now. Luthando means hope.
As soon as Graham rang me and said, would you be interested, I told him, you don't even need to ask me, just sign the paper and that's done.
On November 3rd in Cape Town, South Africa, two men from vastly different worlds meet. Between them is a belt that represents far more than its weight in a winner's hand.
I'm flying to the other side of the world, fighting for a world title. That to me is so big. Just getting here is so massive. People don't understand the magnitude of it.
If I get this title, it will change my life. Everything I've been doing from judo until now is gonna help me on that night. I'm ready for this fight, man.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. When I'm walking out there, all eyes on me, my time to shine. representing Sunderland, representing TFT, representing all the lads, my family, and I just think like, I just can't wait.
I'm not only fighting for myself, I'm fighting for my family, my team, South Africa as a whole.
If I can bring this back to England, that's like...
Luthando Biko and Ellenor are warriors at the pinnacle of their craft. On the eve of battle, they look forward to meeting not as foes, but as brothers.
Sup, Carl? You worked hard for this, and I've worked hard for this. We both deserve this. I hope you're ready, man, because I'm ready. I've been working hard. Let's do this.
Hello, Luthando. I hope you've had a great camp. Really looking forward to testing myself against you and having a super exciting fight for everyone there, for everyone in the crowd, everyone, our families, our children. Let's just have an absolute war. Let's have the best fight we can have. Let's really go for it. And let's have some braai afterwards. Let's have a great fight.